Blast Resort full.
What's up, guys? Gripe here with a review of the DC Collectibles Arrow action figure, and this is based on the Arrow TV show, which is actually a show that my wife and I enjoy. So I saw this figure sitting in Barnes & Nobles and figured I'd pick it up and give it a review. So we'll start off by checking out the packaging, and it's fairly typical for your DC Collectibles. It's a fairly white box. It's got the Arrow logo there, a large wraparound window with Arrow on top, and you can see the figure and all the accessories through the window. You got a picture of Arrow from the show here. You've got all the figures on the line in the back, and the wraparound window on this side, and some stuff on bottom, and an Arrow logo on top. So now we'll check out the accessories that come with the figure. And this being an Arrow figure, it comes with a bow, and it's a compound bow, and it's actually fairly nicely sculpted. It's got a lot of little details in it as far as the different levers and stuff that make up the bow. And paint job, it's just a green and black. You can see black here on the handle, and some of these cross sections here are black. In this area here. Again, it is nicely sculpted. I like all the details on it, and it's got a stretchy nylon string, which is just great for posing. And you can't have a bow without arrows, and it does come with a bundle of arrows here, pretty much just for sitting in the quiver. The shaft and head on these is the same color, and it does have some green and yellow for the fletchings. That's about the only paint applied to it. Also comes with 2 single arrows. And these actually have a green arrowhead. I don't know if you can see that, but it is a dark green, whereas the shaft is a dark brown color. And like the rest of the arrows, the fletchings are painted green and yellow. And you can see there's some lines sculpted into the fletchings to give it a feather-like look. So now check out the sculpt and paint on the figure, and these figures actually remind me a lot of a Marvel Select. And then it's got a little bit of a limited articulation, and I'll go over that more in detail later. And it's got a fairly decent sculpt and paint on it. Again, much like a Marvel Select as opposed to a Marvel Legends. And this whole upper area here is soft plastic, which will help some of the articulation out. As well, this strap here is all soft plastic, and it is loose from the figure up top, although it is connected towards the bottom. It's also got a soft plastic quiver here attached to the figure, and a fairly nicely detailed arm quiver here, if that's the word for it. They've also applied a nice black wash to the outfit, which gives it a nice textured look and really accentuates some of the wrinkles they've sculpted in. You've got some decent sculpt here on the back. This quiver is all soft plastic again, and that's movable. And the hood here is also soft plastic, and you can actually get that down so you can see the head. And once I get that off, there we go. And you can see the whole head is actually sculpted and painted. It's a fairly decent head sculpt. It kind of looks like Stephen Arnell. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. Although I will say the eyes look a little off. He almost looks a little cross-eyed here. Actually, let me zoom in so you can get a better look at this. There you go. You can see they're either too close or one's looking a little bit off from what it should. You can see he's got a bit of a wispy mustache there. But other than that, it's a pretty good head sculpt. Got some treads sculpted in with a peg hole on the one leg. There's some nice details on the legs here, like those wrinkles around the knees. You got some nice details on the boots here with the laces and the wrinkles. The cuffs on them as well are sculpted. You've got this strap here on the leg sculpted. And you've got a pocket on the jacket that's sculpted in, which is pretty nice. Some more wrinkles. All those green lines are just painted on. Now I'll just quickly show you one of the issues I found when I was doing this video. From pulling the hood back, I don't know how well you can see this, but the paint is flaking on the hood here. And again, this is a soft plastic, and you can pull it back, but if you do, the paint does not like it and will start flaking off, which is a little annoying. Alright, so now we'll check out the articulation on the figure. And as I said earlier, this figure is similar to a Marvel Select in that the paint and sculpt are pretty nice, but the articulation is fairly limited. You can get him to look down about that far, and he looks up just slightly higher than straight. You can get a decent amount of pivot on the head, not a huge amount, but it's not bad. You could also have him look left and right, although he is more limited when looking right than left, and that could be the hood, I'm not positive. And the shoulders are a bit limited. You're only going to get them about that high, which isn't even straight. They do rotate, but they rotate at the shoulder joint, not at a bicep cut. The elbows bend at 90 degrees, pretty much exact. They are single jointed. There is rotation on the elbows, so you can get those around. The wrists have a swivel and hinge joint. You can rotate them around, and the left one hinges up and down, whereas the right one hinges sideways. And does have a diaphragm joint. You can actually get them back a decent amount, as you can see. He only goes forward a little bit though, not nearly as much as backwards. You can get a little bit of side to side, not a whole lot. Same with the rotation. He only rotates a little bit at the diaphragm joint. There is no articulation at the waist, and the hips are another problem area. You can only get the legs out that far, and you can see how ugly it looks when you do. And you're stuck with that big ugly gap. And there is no rotation at the thigh or hip area, and you can only kick them forward about that far. You're maybe getting 15 degrees, and you're getting 4 if you're lucky going back. And this figure has single jointed knees, and you can only bend those about that far. You're not even getting 90 degrees on those. Does have rotation at the knee though, so you can rotate that all the way around if you want. And you can see the sculpt here kind of limits how far you can bend it. Does have a boot cut, and you can get that all the way around, and it is actually fairly loose on my figure. You can get the ankles up about that high and down that far, which is actually pretty nice. There's a slight bit of rotation, but really not much. It's mostly coming from the boot cut. And does have some pivot. It's the twisting kind of pivot that you see in like Black Series figures and the like. And we'll check out the size of the figure, and like a Marvel Select, he's closer to 7 inches than 6. You can see here he is 6 3/4 inches tall. So overall, I wanted to like this figure, but I really can't recommend it for anyone but fans of the show. The paint and sculpt are actually kind of good, but the articulation leaves a lot to be desired. It's going to be really tough to get any type of dynamic poses out of this figure. There's also some issues with the paint flaking off the hood, and the right hand on my figure broke within an hour of me taking it out of the box trying to pose it. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. Subscribe for more.
Set blast zone full.